Oh, good afternoon everybody, and a very warm welcome to Wild Earth this afternoon. And I can say that now because it is very warm as opposed to this morning, which was a little bit on the chilly side and a little bit on the wet side, but you can see it's a completely different day today. And we have a beautiful young elephant. I think Mark actually had him yesterday, but he is still enjoying the marula fruits out here on the quarantine area. And we were actually parked under that tree watching him under a different tree, and he decided no, he wanted to be under that tree and find the marula fruits there, so he threw a little bit of a tantrum and threw a little stick at us to tell us, no, this is my tree. But we did stand our ground because he is still quite a young lad. So you do have to stand your ground a little bit if they try and tell you who's boss, especially at this age. But he was actually just trying his luck. He's a young lad. Testing you. But you can see he's pretty chilled. Oh, well, I'm very chuffed he actually stuck around for you all, because I didn't think he was going to stay. But hi everybody, and it is great to be back on drive with you this afternoon. My name's Tara, and on camera we have Andrew, and Pete is back in final control. And some of you might not have seen the drive this morning. For those of you who did miss it, I'm actually filling in for Mark for a couple of weeks so he can go on leave. So Mark actually left about half an hour ago. So you're with me for the next 2 weeks. I hope that's okay with you guys. I am absolutely thrilled to be here, and I'm so excited to see what we can go and find. We did have leopard this morning. I'm hoping maybe we'll catch up with him this afternoon. Keep saying him, we're still not sure who it was, but what a great start to the drive having a young elephant. Possibly about 15, 16, which is usually the time that they leave the herd. They tend to start moving away by themselves, and that distance gets a little bit more each time they move away, and I think that might have happened. But you still look fairly young to me, but probably about 15, 16. But yeah, very excited. If you do have any questions, remember this is a live drive here in South Africa, so wherever you are in the world, you can actually be with us on safari right now. And if you would like to check it out, then send your questions through to questions@wildearth.tv, and yeah, we'll see what comes around. But I'm going to start heading down towards Philemon's Dip and just see if there is any leopard activity. And check that out, completely disappeared. How do you hide an elephant in the bush? Extremely well. You might just be able to see a bit of a rump there. I'm just going to let everybody know that we found an elephant for them this afternoon. Good afternoon all stations. Tara departing on game drive. Had an Ndlovu just at the junction, quarantine and Philemon's Dip. Is there any update on the Ingwe from this morning? So he's saying there might have been Kavuma, so I wonder if anyone who was on drive this morning might be able to confirm that as well. Because unfortunately we spent probably about an hour and a half looking for the leopard and we must have been right on top of him because we had a lot of vultures. Djuma. Thank you. Some of the viewers were saying they thought it was Djuma as well. It's going to take me a little while to get used to that name. But yeah, we'll just have a short drive around here, but he was moving that way. But Texan's gone down there, so I'm just going to try this side. Unless it's the steering wheel. I wonder if the steering wheel will make a bit of a squeak.
Yeah, it is.
It could be that, yeah. Oh, no, not the steering wheel. Okay, well, we'll continue to try and locate it for you. But in the meantime, how's this? The second of the big 5 on drive this afternoon, and what, we're how many minutes into drive already? That's got to be a good start for the day as well. We had the leopard this morning. 7 minutes, how's that? Hello, mister. Now, for some of you, if you're not familiar with game viewing like this before, we don't tend to get right up close to the animals, because it's just like humans. If you go up to a complete stranger and you stand in their bubble, they're not going to be too happy with you. And it's the same with the animals. So we try and give them their space. And if they want to come closer to us, then that's up to them. And that's exactly what happened with the younger elephant just before. We actually had quite a distance between us. We were sat in the shade just enjoying watching him. And he decided, as I say, that he wanted the marula fruits underneath the tree that we were sat under. And he came right up next to us, about 3 or 4 meters away from us, walked around us and went to the tree. And that was under his terms, that was not ours. And it's the same with this buffalo here. You can see he's grazing away, he's quite happy. Okay, he looked at us, checked us out, made sure we're not going to be a problem. And he's now back to what he was doing, which is exactly how we should have animals and how we should leave animals, doing what they want to do. All stations, 1 in Yari at Philemon's Dip. Good afternoon, just updating 1 in Yari at Philemon's Dip. Now this is quite normal to have one buffalo by himself. You might find there might be a few more in the drainage line either side. I think I'm hearing something. I am hearing some movement in there, so it could be other buffalo, or it could just be him. Because as they get older, they can't keep up with the herd, so they break away, and their teeth have also started wearing down, so they find the harder vegetation a little bit difficult to chew, so they go for the softer vegetation close to the water edges or the drainage lines. So that's why you'll quite often find them there. And you tend to get, or they tend to get the nickname Dugger boys, Dugger meaning mud, because they tend to roll around in the mud to keep themselves cool. And I say, during days where it's very hot like this, you often find them wallowing in the mud or in the water, enjoying their retirement. Okay, I'm just going to get a little bit closer. Now he's relaxed. You can see he's turned his back on us. So I'm just going to get a little bit closer, just see if there is anybody else just in this drainage line here. Oh, it's the birds up in the tree, they're fighting. That's what I'm hearing, the rustling. You see them, they're just jumping all over the trees there. Looks like the grey go-away birds. Or the grey lurie as it used to be called. Ah, there they go. Wow, they were being really noisy, hey? They get their name. They used to be called luries, and there were some beautiful luries with purples and greens, and there's actually a pigment or different pigments that cause those colours. So you get the churacin and churacovidin, and that's why when they did the whole name change of the luries, they decided, no, we'll call them the turacos after these pigments. But then the problem came in the fact that the grey go-away bird, which hopefully we'll see a better one for you. I can still hear, I think they went to the tree at the back. But they don't have any of these pigments at all, so they couldn't really call it a turaco. So instead they called it after its call, instead of keeping it as the grey lurie. And the reason for the name changes is to actually come in line with the rest of the world. So there may be luries, I actually forget to keep looking up, maybe someone can look it up for me, but there might be luries elsewhere in the world that aren't the same type of bird as what are here. So that was one of the reasons for the name changes. Personally, I think it's to sell more books, because you have to buy new books so you can keep up with the new changes. But I think that was the actual reason, was to keep in line with everything else. But their call actually sounds like they are saying go away, and if there's any danger or problem, they will actually say something like, "Oh, oh, how's that?" Oh, there we go, he's calling back. Oh, but you can see he's really not too phased by us being here at all. There we go. We'll definitely have to see if we can try and find one for you, for those viewers who haven't seen a grey go-away bird before. Now, it is possible with this heat, the leopard might be resting underneath a bush now, and it might be moving around a little bit later on. But I still think we'll have a try, we'll maybe just reverse back a bit and try down that side and see if he's popped out, maybe see if we can find tracks. I don't think Texan's actually said he found anything. But we'll try along there and then maybe take a drive down towards Twin Dams, maybe that area, or maybe further to the north, and then maybe come back a little bit later on and see if we can't relocate him, see if there's any tracks telling us which way he's gone. But certainly in this heat it is normal for leopards to actually go and rest out. Unless they're hungry, then they might start moving around a little bit. If there's any impala around or any possibility of food, they can potentially put themselves in those areas waiting for the opportunity to hunt. but that's if they're extremely hungry, and this leopard didn't look very hungry, so I think chances are he's going to be resting, and I don't blame him. So let's lead this old man to his dinner, and we'll see if we can find something else for you. Ah, hello Sally from Wisconsin. Good to hear from you. And actually it's probably still going to be in shot. She was asking about this structure here, the wooden structure just on the corner. That's the old pump house where they have the pumps for the I think it was the pans at one stage, wasn't it? Or I forget now, maybe someone can remind me. But I do know Karula's second litter, Misha and Duna, absolutely loved that pump house. When Karula actually left them, they were found, I think Peter found them playing around the pump house. And we've actually had quite a number of sightings of leopard around here. We do like this area a lot. To you, Mary, and welcome on board. It'd be good to hear you with us. And Mary actually sent her message in via Twitter, so you can also send messages via Twitter. And you're going to have to help me out again. This is hashtag Safari Live. Hey, there we go, we're getting it. So hashtag Safari Live. So you can send your answers and questions into Twitter as well as the emails. And Mary wanted to know about the scars on the back of the buffalo, and I must admit I didn't actually notice any big scars. I did notice a lot of the mud, the dried mud, but it is possible those scars could have been from an old lion attack, because these boys, make no mistake, they've got an attitude about them, and it's not easy to take down an old dugger boy like that. So even though they are on their own, and obviously buffaloes, generally the younger ones are in herds, safety in numbers again, but these guys do make up for the lack of numbers with the will to survive. But it is very possible they could have been old scars. Clouds forming, but I think we're good for now. It's amazing how different the day is, hey? Compared to this morning, it just feels like a completely different day. And that is one thing about the weather here in Africa, it can change on a dime. Blue skies and then storm cloud, and then literally 2 minutes later, clear again. It's amazing. Definitely have to try it back around this area later. It sounds area. See, there's a little bird in this tree. Oh, it would move. Oh, there he goes. Did you catch him at all?
Slightly.
Slightly. Well, like possibly a young buffalo weaver. And that, of course, would be one of the little five. So some of you might be familiar with the big five. And for those of you who aren't familiar, then it is the elephant, the buffalo, the leopard, the lion, and the rhino. So that's the big five, that's what makes up the big five. The Magnificent Seven include the big five, plus the wild dog and the cheetah, which we do also have here in the Sabi Sands on Djuma. You never know, we might be lucky with a cheetah. That'll be fantastic as well. Anything's fantastic, it's the bush. But that will be wonderful. So the little five are the buffalo weaver. Each one takes its name from one of the big five. So you have the elephant shrew, and you have the leopard tortoise, ant lion, and the rhino beetle. So you can mark the buffalo weaver off as your little five. Ant lion you have. Elephant shrew, we should have one of the species. The toad is probably one of the most common, if I remember rightly. Maybe some look up what species we should have here, because it does escape me. The rhino beetle we should get here, and the leopard tortoise we also do get here. We have seen them on a few occasions. And for those of you who don't know me, I used to guide here about 3 years ago for Wild Earth, and it just feels like yesterday I was guiding. It was amazing. It's all starting to come back. The roots and the animals. So I'm just so excited to be here. And welcome on board to everybody across the world. I'm sure there's going to be quite a different crowd on board this afternoon with all the time differences. But it's great to be with us here. Safari. Okay. So I think we're going to check the list. Around this side, because it could have cut through and down towards the drainage here, which would also be quite cool. So for those of you who weren't on this morning, as I was saying, I was just listening to the game drivers, just suddenly realised, listening to the updates on the game, as I was telling you, a load of vultures that we thought, oh, there was a carcass or something across the lions. And we went to the 2-track here, which wasn't here ago. The start of it was, but it looks like it's been well used since. We thought, no, we'll go and get it out. Finally, actually, we tried to get in between trees, so we're all stationed around this particular area. And yeah, we took about a good hour looking in that area. Couldn't find anything, so we came out, and that's when we found out that one of the game drive vehicles did actually catch up with the leopards there, and I think we've been very close to him. We just couldn't. And then we had another look, and it was probably about a good hour looking in that area. Couldn't think, so we came out, and that's when we actually just see. And then we looked from the side, and we still couldn't roughly drive him a catch up. I believe it was quite an exciting, was it? So heading down Twin Dams Road, we're going to try and check out Chan, if there's any activity around there. And we will head bit better here. Cool, so apparently we're going through a little bit of a choppy patch there. Yeah, let's just see if there is on this side. There was a little two-track that went around the corner, because sometimes you don't see what's going on down here. Ah, here it is, yeah. There we go. There's actually quite a bit of water here. Ooh, hornbill just flew in. And I wonder, can you see that white nest? Just on the reeds there. And there goes the hornbill on the floor. You're able to see him.
You see the white nest?
Well, you can see the nest. So that's actually from a foam nest frog. And Cella actually means frog, so it's frog pan. And when the frogs actually mate, they'll kick their back legs together and they'll actually start making a froth or foam, and that's actually what the nest is. It's actually holding the tadpoles out of the water, and that protects it from any enemies that might try and eat them. And as the tadpoles develop, they get heavier and they'll actually drop into the water, and you'll see that nest is actually situated just over the water's edge. And I've actually seen quite a few of them around. As I say, they'll always be over water, so the tadpoles have somewhere to drop. Oh, nice! Did you see that? The kingfisher?
Just out the corner.
Oh, did you get it in the frame?
Not really.
Oh! There was a woodlands kingfisher there. I think he was going in for a bit of a bath. It looks like he's washing his feathers out and his bill. He is a kingfisher. He doesn't tend to fish, although if there is the opportunity, they might fish. But generally speaking, they're not ones that tend to go fishing. But maybe he was just cooling off. Tend to eat lizards and insects and things like that. Yeah, I think he is. He's just bathing. Did you get him that time?
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, there he is. See that electric blue? Beautiful. Oh, I think the hornbills are wanting a piece of the action now. They want to be on camera. Good afternoon to you, Dave. Sorry, I missed where Dave was from. But welcome on board on this beautiful sunny afternoon here in South Africa. I'm wanting to know if we have any crocodiles here, and we used to. I don't know, have you guys seen any crocodiles recently? No crocodiles recently. Where we used to get in Gowrie Dam, where the waterhole camera is situated, and the last time I remember seeing crocodile, and he was actually quite big. Well, it was small compared to other crocodiles. Just crocodiles can get, well, the Nile crocodile, which is the type we have here, can get up to about 5 or 6 meters in length. So this one was probably about half that, maybe about 3 meters. But he was still a decent size, and that was down at Twin Dams. Were we able to get the hornbill, or were they just a little bit too far away? I think he is still there. He might just be a little bit too far away. He was just in the very tall tree at the back. We might be able to see them a little bit better. I thought they were going to land a bit closer, actually. But the red-billed hornbills. And here comes the woodlands kingfisher again. That beautiful red bill. Oh, it's probably one of the prettiest birds. I say that electric blue is just, oh, you just see a flash of it and you just know instantly it's the woodlands kingfisher. And that's the bird that you may have heard quite a lot during the course of the day if you've been on the waterhole camera going chip chirr, chip chirr. And he is one of 10 species of kingfisher here in South Africa. And as I said before, he doesn't tend to fish they won't tend to eat fish as the normal part of the diet. There's only 4 that, if my memory serves me correctly, that actually eat fish as the main part of the diet. And we may be lucky to see them. We used to have the pied kingfishers. You tend to see them hovering over the water a lot. The giant kingfisher, I can't remember if we have seen it here. May well have been at one of the big dams. It looks like he has flown off, but I do think he was actually bathing because he was, say, washing out his feathers and he wasn't going back to the branch with anything in his bill. Cool. Alrighty. Well, we'll see if we can try and find a hornbill and a grey go-away bird a little bit closer for you guys this afternoon. For those of you who haven't seen it before. Maybe for those of you who have seen it before, maybe you enjoy those birds. Malachite kingfisher is quite a small kingfisher, probably about that big, that also has fish as the main part of the diet. But I don't think we have seen that one here either, if memory serves me correctly. And the half-coloured kingfisher I don't remember seeing here. There, little dove. Oh, that breeze is very nice, eh? Can't believe the temperature difference. That was something we always said we were going to get, was a thermometer on the dashboard. Okay, so along Vulture's Nest or even back towards Buffer's Hut Dam and just see if there's anything that side. That's quite a large dam. We didn't get very far this morning, so we'll do a circuit around there and hopefully the signal's going to be okay this side. So we're going to go into the drainage line, which they say on hot days is another refuge for the animals. We're just checking underneath any of the bushes, maybe someone's going to be lying up. Waiting for the heat just to subside a little bit. Okay. Apparently there may be a power issue to the Gowrie camera at the Gowrie Dam camera at the moment, but the lodge is looking into it, so hopefully it'll be back online very shortly. But for those of you who may have just come on board and I'm not sure what's going on. You're joining a live safari here in South Africa, and the waterhole camera I'm just mentioning is online when we have the power to it 24/7, so you can catch up with what's going on here at Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands 24/7. And we have the live safaris 2 times a day. We go out in the morning and the afternoon, and that's just because that's when the animals are more likely to be mobile, especially the cats. You tend to get elephants and giraffes and a lot of the antelope quite active during the day, but it will rest up in the heat. They do start to become active, so I'm hoping that we're going to be lucky today. We've already had quite a good start this afternoon with an elephant and a buffalo. Okay, so we're going to take Vulture's Nest, and there used to be a tree around here with a vulture's nest in it, which is what the road is named after. And I'm pretty sure that tree is no longer there. Or was it that tree there? But it doesn't look like there's a nest in there. I wonder if that went in this cyclone. This is changing slightly. This has changed. The cyclone actually changed the face of the whole Milwaukee River, which is riverbed, which is just what we went through now. But yeah, they used to have a nest up in. I'm sure it was that tree. And that was quite exciting to see how the chick was developing. To see it popping its head up every so often. Here, and you can actually see where this little bird gets its name from. See if anyone wants to ID it for us this afternoon. But that's probably one of the best profiles you're ever going to get of this bird. It's a dead giveaway, that tail. And that's probably one of my favourite birds. They're very, very cheeky. I think he went into that tree. I don't think we're going to get a nice view of it again. But they actually mimic. They're very, very good mimics of other birds. And one of their favourite calls, or seems to be one of the favourite calls, is the pearl-spotted owlet. But they also mimic, and I wonder if you ever experienced this while you were following meerkats. And they would actually mimic the alarm call of the meerkats. So if the meerkats found anything, now we don't have meerkats here, they're further west, but where this bird and the meerkats overlap, they'll mimic the alarm call, so that if the meerkats have anything that they're eating, they give the alarm call, so the meerkats scatter, leaving the food, so this bird can fly down, pick it up and get a free meal. Did you ever experience that? Yeah. Fantastic. So if you do have any answers, send them through to questions@WildEarthTV or on Twitter, #SafariLive. Let's see who comes back with the right answer for that little bird, one of my favourites. Oh, nice. Are you going to land? Yes, you are. Very cool. Oh, now this is also, I don't know if you've got a good view, have you got a nice view of this?
Average.
I wonder if I can get a little bit closer. It's also a very interesting little bird. There you go, that was the woodland's kingfisher if you heard it. Let me see if I can get a bit closer. Maybe if people want to take screenshots, and then I'll move closer. Okay. It's actually quite a light bird of prey. If you want to try and ID this one as well. Oh, there's another bird. Maybe he's actually being chased by that bird. Another one that just flew off from this torchwood here. You see where it lands? Raisa, welcome on board. Joe, Virginia, Tom, Scott. All with the correct answer. It was a fork-tailed drongo. Well done, and welcome on board to all of you. Great to hear from you. Fork-tailed drongo. Say that fork in the tail, very characteristic. I was really hoping we'll catch up with that other bird. You may have got a good view of it. We'll see if anyone does come through with the correct answer. Bird. I think it was a bit quick though. Looks like we're having a birding afternoon for half an hour at least. I did hear actually the fish eagles calling just before we went out on drive. Very nice to hear. Further that way. Oh, that's a shame. But they actually have the ability, I don't know if you've seen some of the bird nests, about this big, woven nests from the weavers, and they have the ability to actually hang on to these nests and take out a chick from inside the nest while actually sitting on the nest. It's termed double jointedness, but it's not quite double jointed. But they are able to bend their foot in a way that they are actually able to reach inside and grab a chick, which may give that bird away if you did get a good view of it. Do have an ID on that bird of prey. Questions at WildEarthTV or hashtag Safari now. Give your answers. And they have a bare patch on their face, which is usually yellow, unless they get excited and it flushes red, which may also help to give it away. I think let's try this way, because hopefully the signal should be fine this side. Donald and Joan. Done. It was the African harrier hawk, or Djuma is its old name. I prefer Djuma. Just off the tongue nicely. But its new name is the African harrier hawk. That word we were looking at. Did we get a good view of it? Was it a nice view? Oh, good. Otherwise, I might be out of sugar. But that was the bird of prey. But unfortunately, I got a little bit too close and decided. Although there was actually another bird of prey I quite get a good look at, but it could be actually like that. It looked like he would stay when I stopped. It was still quite a distance. Might have been a bit choppy back there. Apparently quite a few people on Twitter are hoping we'll see a honey badger this afternoon. That would be fantastic. We were talking about honey badgers this morning actually. Have you ever seen a honey badger? You have? Yeah, they tend to be a nocturnal creature. So I think we do have maybe 15-20 minutes as it's getting dusk. But I have seen honey badger quite often during the day when it's been overcast. So this morning is the type of day when it's more overcast and dry rather than misty. So there is a possibility you might see one during the day. Sorry, is somebody calling me? That's something I'm trying to get used to, is hearing all the different voices again. I've got voices in my head and in my ear. Getting used to all the radio language again. It's, for those of you... Oh, hello! We have an animal. Not quite a honey badger. But I must admit, even though they're fairly common, it's such a beautiful antelope. And certainly worth stopping to say hello. And you are a magnificent ram. And he knows it, eh? Wow. He is beautiful. As we go into the next couple of months, the necks are going to start thickening up and the males are going to start displaying for territory. Very easy for those of you who don't know how to tell the difference. They have horns, the females don't. But he is in good condition. He's probably about 10 years old. They tend to get as old as 12, but he is in his prime. Now when they do start holding a territory, it's usually around March, April, May time. They will not allow any other males in that area and they will fiercely defend that area. But at the moment, they will get on with males and you may see bachelor groups. And again, that's going to be safety in numbers to make sure that they're not going to be taken out by predators. Now he keeps looking over there. I'm not sure what he's looking at, but you can see he's carrying on browsing. So whatever it is that keeps catching his attention is, at this stage, not a problem. With him being on his own, there may be others behind the bushes, but it looks like he could be on his own. Hello, you're going to go and check it out. Now look at that posture. You see, it could even be there's another male around, and let's say if he's starting to gear up for that territorial displaying, they can start this time of year, but they'll only start mating around the March, April, May time. But again, look how he's standing. That posture just shows he's focusing all his senses to try and get as much information for what he thinks he's seeing, to try and determine if it is going to be a problem. See, the ears are focused, the nose is focused, the eyes. Yep. He's certainly very alert, but you can see he's now changing, but the wind's actually just changed direction. He's just changed where he's looking. Be the approach of a female herd, but I'm not seeing anything at the moment. But with him being on his own, I wouldn't be surprised if he is starting that territorial behaviour. As I say, I wouldn't be surprised if there is another male there rather than a predator at this stage, because we're not getting an alarm call to back up. There is a predator there. Quite interesting. I don't know if you can scan to the bird just above him. The magpie shrike has just flown in as well. You might be able to hear that bird in the background, the Coqui Franklin, like "krik-krik-krik-krik-krik." Probably not one of the best impressions of it, but you might be able to pick it out. No, Magpie's right, got something. Nope. He swooped down to catch something, but obviously missed it. So what is it, boy? I'm just going to try and roll back and just see if we can't get a different view. Just see if we can maybe see what he's looking at. But one thing about impala, and especially in areas where there's a lot of predators, they are quite skittish. I've seen them jump at their own shadow. There you go, look, he's actually relaxed. He's walking away, but he's going back to browsing. So, yeah, whatever it is not a threat. But I'm going to roll back anyway, maybe see if we can see what it was that he was looking at. Looking at that behaviour, I would say it probably was another impala. Let's just see. But yeah, honey badgers, we don't really mention too often because we don't see them very often, but they are amazing little creatures. And it is a well-known fact that they are able to kill and eat venomous snakes, and if they're bitten, quite often they'll go into a kind of coma for a few hours, maybe even a day or so. They'll come back round and carry on eating the snake as if nothing had ever happened. Okay, this is as far as I think he was looking, but I'm not seeing anything. See, it could have been a shadow, could have been anything, and obviously with him being on his own, he's going to be a lot more alert because it's just him watching his own back. Let's say they have got pretty good eyesight. So it could be he was just seeing a lot further than what I'm giving him credit for, but with all these bushes in the way, I'd be surprised if he was looking at something back here. But as I say, he's not fussed, so maybe we should leave him to it and carry on. Actually, I have had quite an interesting run-in with a honey badger, and they are renowned for being quite aggressive little creatures, and they do tend to stand the ground, and they're quite small. They're probably about, what, that sort of height and they're about that sort of length, so they're not a big animal, but they can actually chase lions up a tree. They're that aggressive. And I remember when I was working in the Waterberg, they would actually come and raid the bins. We had quite big wheelie bins, and they are excellent climbers. And there was 2 or 3 that were actually raiding the bin, and I hadn't seen a honey badger properly. So we said, no, let's go and have a look at the honey badgers. So we went, and we stood there, and one actually started walking towards us, and me and the colleague who I was with kind of just looked at each other and thought, this is probably not the brightest idea we ever had. And the honey badger stopped probably about 2 meters in front of us. He was just sauntering up to us. But we did wonder, you know, what our plan was if he did decide he was going to charge at us. Good afternoon, go ahead. Arathusa so far. I'm actually heading up towards Bucklestock Dam, and then I'll head back in probably about half an hour or so once it starts cooling off a bit and have another search. Did you copy that? Cheetah planes come in. Sorry about that, someone just asked me for an update on the leopard we had this morning. Halfway through the conversation, I think it's gone dead. I'll see if I can try and get in touch with him again, maybe when we get into a better signal area with the radio. But yeah, luckily the honey badger just looked at us when he was about 2 meters away and decided, nah, you guys are okay, I don't need to do anything, and trundled off to where the bin was and joined probably his family members. Which, to our relief, as I say, I don't know what we would have done if that hadn't happened. But we were so excited, you kind of don't think about things like that until you're in that situation. Sorry, saw that a bit late.
Yeah. I'm okay.
You alright? You don't have a spider on your face? Oh, that one you might do. Oh, sorry lady. Oh, where did you go? I've got to remember the golden orbs live around here. I'm so used to not having golden orbs. Well, we do have golden orbs, but they don't tend to span the road. I didn't see where she went. Did you see where she went?
I think in the bottom there.
Oh, there she is. She's on the coat. Okay, I'm just going to see if I can rescue the spider. Can you see her down there? On my coat. She's quite a nice size. Oh, no, she's on the door there. Oh, she's climbing up. Yeah. Golden orbs actually taste with their legs, and as far as I understand, they actually don't like the taste of human, not from their fangs, but actually it's probably a bit of a painful bite at the size that she is, but they're not dangerous to humans. But certainly the size, I mean, if I put my hand Yeah, you can see she doesn't like being near humans, but if I put my hand there, you get us in the same shot.
Yeah.
Just shows you the size that she is. She is beautiful, and I'm so sorry I ran through your web, lady. I'm very sorry. Totally didn't see you. But actually, maybe you could, can you see the yellow? Which is where they get their name from, the golden orb. You might be able to see it quite nicely. And quite often as they get older, they don't tend to spin as big a web. They'll spin maybe half an orb. So you can tell how old they are. Well, you won't be able to put it in months, but certainly you can see if it's a young female or an old female, but certainly by the size of this one, she's quite an old female. But they only tend to last a year, maybe a couple of years at most. But if she rests, yeah, go and rest on my coat and I'll see if I can put you back out, lady. She's coming for you. Climb on there again, look. I'm going to go into that. Oh.
Do you want me to try?
Yeah. See if we can't get her on there. Oh, well done.
Watch.
Oh, there she is, yeah. I bet you're glad I didn't carry on that time, eh? I think that one would have ended up on your face. But yeah, did you get the orb there, the web?
The yellow, yeah.
Yeah, it's stunning. I just didn't see it in time, unfortunately. They're extremely strong. And actually, if the spider was the same size as a human, obviously the web would be huge. But apparently, it would have the capability of stopping a Boeing 747 in flight if you actually scaled it up, which is quite amazing. And I've never tried it, but apparently if you take 20 strands and you can try and lift up, I think it's 20 litres or a big one of those big hammers that you use for knocking in stakes and stuff. It's extremely strong. And I think they actually have made bulletproof vests with the silk now. I know when I was first training it was kind of in the pipeline, but I think they have actually done it now. Lightweight bulletproof vests. Nature is amazing. Apparently there's quite a mixed view there about the spiders. I must admit, spiders is probably one of the things I never used to appreciate, but certainly living in Africa, you do come to appreciate the beauty. And as I say, technically speaking, there's only 4 you've really got to worry about venom-wise, and you don't tend to come into contact with them. Now, when I was a kid, I thought I'd never be able to live in a hot country, you know, Australia or Africa, because of the spiders and the scorpions and the snakes. But actually, once you learn about them and learn, you know, they're not out to get you, and they're more likely to move away from you, and you actually come to realise you know, there is a lot of truth in that, then actually you can start appreciating the beauty of these creatures. And as I say, I have held a tarantula before, and it was a very weird sensation. I have almost held a golden orb. I was actually climbing up the web because I was trying to rescue her, and as soon as she touched my finger, she just dropped straight back down again. That's why we're trying to use the dustpan there to help her on her way. But the other fear I had was scorpions. I hated scorpions. And that was another big fear of mine. And I actually held a rock scorpion, and they can get pretty big. They can get to about this sort of length from pincer to tail. And it was actually at a snake handling course, and the guy actually had the tarantula there, and that's where I held the tarantula, and he also had a scorpion. And I thought, you know what, try and get over your fear. And again, actually understanding about the scorpions, it's all to do with the thickness of the tail and the thickness of the pincers. So if they have very thick pincers and a very small tail, you're more likely it just feels like a bee sting, which is, you know, not a big problem. But it's the ones that have the small pincers and a very thick tail, that's the one with all the venom, and that's the ones you've got to be careful about. And this one was a rock scorpion, and they've got huge pincers and a very, very small tail. And I say this one's like a bee sting. And I thought, okay, well, now's the time. You know, he was offering it around, and I said, okay, I'll hold it. So he puts it on my hand, and it was this one's like a bee sting. And I thought, okay, well, now's the time. You know, he was offering it around, and I said, okay, I'll hold it. So he puts it on my hand, and it was actually okay. It was very light on its feet. And he starts walking up my arm, and it was amazing. It was using its pincers to almost feel where the width of my arm was, so it wouldn't fall off. It's getting further and further on my arm, and he gets to about here. And the guy says, oh, you look very relaxed with that. And I'm thinking, no, I ain't. I had a shower, the water was rising, it was trying to get out the way of the water, and I felt a tickle on my toe, and I thought it was a hair, and I looked down, and there was this Arathusa. It was only about this big, but you know, he could have really given me quite a nasty sting. Unfortunately, as soon as I realised he was flew off pretty quickly, and then I felt very, very bad about it, so I picked him up and rescued him and took him outside. But yeah, it was that reaction of something's on my toe, get it off, you know. But yeah, as I said, I certainly settled down with scorpions after holding that one. But yeah, fears. And snakes, a lot of people don't like snakes, and again, they're beautiful creatures. And again, the analogy I always use, for those of you who haven't heard it, if you think about being in a room and you've got no other way to protect you except a knife, and somebody's coming for you, and you know that person is going to kill you, they have whatever it is in their hand, and they're going to come for you, what are you going to do? Are you going to stand there and let them, or are you going to try and do something about it? And you're probably going to use that knife to protect yourself. The snake doesn't have anything to protect itself except its teeth, and it will go through, hello, beautiful boy, but it will go through the motions to try and stop you from getting any closer. That's why a puff adder will puff up, that's why a cobra will open its hood rather than the open plains. They tend to be browsers. But hopefully you might have seen the females are chestnut with the white, and the male is completely different. If you didn't know better, you would think they're a different antelope completely. And he's the black with the yellow stockings and the horns. Can you still see them nicely, or shall I move a little bit?
I can see them nicely.
Now you may have glimpsed the horns on the male. They've got a slight turn in the horn, so he's part of the spiral horned antelope, just like the kudu and the bushbuck as well, which also likes this particular habitat. And again, the bushbuck are closer in size to the smaller females there. And one of these antelope people tend to get a bit mixed up with. So the kudu are actually the largest, but you don't really tend to get a good size. Oh, there's a female right in front of us crossing the road. Beautiful. The sun just bouncing off her back there, looking quite golden. There she goes, she's catching up with the others. So you might have just seen they've got stripes and spots on their body for their nyala, chestnut in colour. Oh, and here comes the male following her. You might just see him nicely again. And he's twice the size of the female. But even the male isn't anywhere near the kudu size. The kudu are the largest, and then the nyala, and let's say the bushbuck. And the bushbuck tend to be brown in colour, maybe a few spots, occasionally stripes, but more so the spots. And then the kudu tend to have just the stripes. You very rarely see spots on the kudu. So the general rule of thumb, kudu grey, stripes, the nyala chestnut brown, stripes and spots, and bushbuck brown with spots. That's the general rule of thumb, but obviously there will be a little bit of variation in there. Do you see that nice silver mane down the back? Now when the males are displaying, they'll actually erect that, and it's called phylloerection. It just means hair standing up. It's the most basic term, if I can put it like that. And they'll arch the back and they'll try and make themselves look as big as possible, and they do this beautiful slow walk around each other. It looks like someone's actually videoed it and then put it in slow motion. It is amazing to watch, and they just walk around each other. Can you still see him through the gap, or shall I try and move a little bit? Let's just see if I can move. Do you think backwards or forwards?
It's going to be hard to say.
Yeah, let's try backwards. There. Can you see through that gap, or not really?
A bit forward.
A little bit more?
Okay, stop it.
Oh, I think he was looking over his shoulder. But in terms of territorial display, it's probably one of my favourites. Oh, sorry, not territorial. They're not territorial, but mating rights to the females. So that's one of the other characteristics of the spiral horned antelope. They're not territorial. And they show off those beautiful yellow stockings. I don't know if you're in the grass, might be a little bit too long where he is.
Yeah, he's just moved out of frame now.
Yeah, okay, we'll see. I'll just drive a little bit forward, maybe we'll catch up with him again. Through there. Didn't speak about white storks, but if there is a question about white storks, we can see if we can answer it. Hi Hiker, good to hear that you're on board. That is wonderful. And I've just got some information about white storks. Now generally white storks, we do have quite a number of different storks here in South Africa, and white storks are one of them. They do tend to migrate north for the winter, but apparently there's three further north in South Africa, and apparently they've got transmitters on them and they've actually stayed. And I think, if memory serves me correctly, I'm going to have to look this up, but I think they can be resident in some areas, but bear with me, I will have to check that one up because that's a long time since I've used that bit of information. I could be wrong, but I haven't heard of any white storks around here. But you never know, we might be lucky, they might still be around before they migrate back. We still have some of the other migrants around, the woodlands kingfisher being one of them, but they inter-African migrants, so they only go to the central parts of Africa. So we may be lucky, maybe we'll see. Have you seen any European rollers recently, or have they already gone back? European rollers might have gone back. Go ahead. Okay, so the white storks were in Pundermaria and Pundermaria in Kruger last week. Thanks for that, Pete. Yeah, maybe someone can check up that for me, or when we stop I'll have a quick check in the bird book. So we're currently on Gwari Road, heading towards Buffer's Hook Dam. See if there's any action around there, and then we're going to start making our way back towards the quarantine area and just see if maybe we're lucky with the leopard that side. But it is still pretty hot, so it may come out. So it sounds like a lot of people are confirming that it was one of Karula's male cubs from her last litter. I think they're coming up for about 2 years old now, I believe. Djuma, is that right? Djuma. I'm just taking a little while to get that name into my head. And the quarantine male, they're brothers, and they make up the 4th litter of Karula. And it's quite interesting. She had 2 cubs who were female, and then she had cubs who were male, and then 2 cubs, 1 male, 1 female, and then these 2 cubs, 2 males. And Karula obviously being the queen of Djuma, the leopard who has given us so many hours and so much of an insight in leopard behaviour over the last few years of Wild Earth. And she really ignited quite a passion for leopards for me. And one of my favourite pastimes was actually just sitting and watching her and her family, and actually seeing the interactions between her and her family. And if you read the book, leopards are not supposed to interact with each other. Once the male's mated, he's supposed to leave, and the female's supposed to rear the young, and then they're supposed to leave and not really interact. But really, I think with all the game views that's happened in the last decade or so, it is starting to become clear that leopards are a little bit more sociable than what we've been credit for, and certainly here in the sands, that is certainly the case. And that's Nyala Road North coming in there. For those of you who know, I'm still just trying to reorientate myself on the roads. I do remember the roads, it's just the name. I do have the map, and the RC was very kind enough to send me the map through, so thank you very much, RC, if you're watching. But it is starting to come back, which is fantastic. But for those of you who don't know what I've been doing, for the last 3 years I've been studying leopards over in a little town called Weidenberg. It's actually about 35 k's outside of Weidenberg. A very, very different habitat to this and terrain, very mountainous. The altitude's very different. I think altitude is here, I think it's the low hundreds, whereas where I am, my base camp is about 1,100 meters, and the walk that I do every other Friday, we reach altitudes of about 1,600, 1,700, and as I say, very different habitat. We have grasslands on top of the mountain and savanna in the valleys, and I'm studying leopards with cameras and tracking the spoor as well. And some of you might have remembered when I was here on Wild Earth 3 years ago, having those special interactions with Karula and her cubs, Javinzi and Javambalana, her 3rd litter, and her 3-year-old son, Induna, and the father of those cubs, Jambili Ordan. And we actually had interactions between all of them. Karula wasn't there for one of those interactions. So we had the father, the 3-year-old son, and the 2-year-old cubs all together interacting. It was just incredible. And if you read the literature, that's not supposed to happen. I think there was one quote in a book, I think 2013, which said that males may interact with cubs occasionally, but this wasn't occasionally. He was interacting on a fairly regular basis, and he also was left babysitting on occasion as well. Some of you might remember I took a picture of Karula and the 2 cubs and Jambili Ordan, and I managed to write a paper, and I've actually got it here. Maybe I can show you that picture. Just quickly show you. You might remember this picture here. For those of you who were lucky enough to join me on that drive that morning, we actually heard the leopards calling in the drainage line. I was so excited, and I said, no, let's go and see if they're around Galago Shortcut, and there they were in the middle of the road. So this was Karula here, Jambili Ordan. Okay, it was pulling a bit of a face there, but I think that was because of us. And then this was Shivambalana and Shivinzi here. And I was actually asked if they could use this picture on the front of the journal. So this paper was published, and I'm so excited because this is the first time in academic literature that it's actually been recorded. And I thought it was just so unique, and I really wanted to get our story out there, and the fact that there were so many people who witnessed it. And I'm so proud to say that we actually got this paper published, and all of you who were on that drive were part of it. So quite amazing, hey? And the journal was actually the African Journal of Ecology, if anybody wants to look it up. Here you go. Our Queen of Djuma. Now, in the academic literature forever. I think that was very, very fitting for Our Lady. So we're approaching Buffels Dam. Let's see if anybody's around here. It'll be very cool for some years. See if our lookout point is still here. But actually, it looks like there's a bit of a lookout point there. Oh, we have somebody. Ooh, we have a couple of somebodies. Very, very cool. The first hippo since I've been back. And a white-breasted cormorant on the bank opposite them. Very nice indeed. And I was almost getting excited. I thought there might have been a crocodile right at the back there, but I think it's actually a log, unfortunately. Actually, I think I was on going off on a tangent there. The other place that we have seen crocodile was Twin Dams. I can't remember if we actually have seen crocodile here at Buffels Hook. And funny enough, I was actually wondering how Bob was doing. Some of you might remember Bob was born live on the camera at Gowrie Dam. But I suppose he'd be quite a big hippo now, and we probably won't be able to recognise him. And then there was Bubbles and Pinky, I think. We were probably about a year later. Now, if someone tells a person never leave the water when it's hot and sunny like this, you can tell them that they're lying. Because I have actually seen, and I'm sure a lot of you that have viewed the Gowrie camera have sometimes seen them out sunbathing, very occasionally. It doesn't happen very often. They do tend to take refuge in the water this time of year to get away from the heat, because the skin is actually quite sensitive. But they do come out to sunbathe every so often now as well. they could be underwater for 5, maybe 6 minutes at a push, but that tends to be as long as they can hold their breath for. Now, if they're sleeping underwater, all you'll see is the 2 little nostrils, and it's almost like a reflex, and they just lift their head, nostrils out, close them, and come back underwater again. And they can do that while they're sleeping. Oh, there's a baby hippo! There's a little baby! Was I imagining it? Was there a baby? Might have been the angle. I'm sure there was a baby there. Quite often you'll find babies sitting on the mother's backs. It just helps them to get to the surface a little bit easier. Oh, there's just 2 nostrils, someone's sleeping there. Well, it looks like there could be quite a number of hippos there. And they do tend to form family pods or rafts. Oh, we're going to get to see a display, I wonder. Check, yeah, he's opening his mouth. There, look. Oh. And that's a hippo's way of showing how big and strong they are. They open the mouth so they can show off those huge teeth. And believe me, you do not want to get on the wrong side of those. Yep. Apart from the hippos, it's a little bit quiet around here. Cheetah planes, can move Tara. Oh, did I just miss it again? Was there a little one there?
I didn't see it. I haven't seen a little one.
Okay, so just looking at the white stork, there's apparently a small breeding population in the Western Cape, which tends to say they're resident down that side. So there may be little pockets where they could be resident, but generally speaking, they are migrants. Okay, well, let's leave the hippos to it. I'm not quite sure who it's displaying to. The only one it's facing is the white-breasted cormorant. Doesn't look too impressed. But I think we'll take Buffalo's Hook Cut Line and maybe take Mvubu Road back down towards the dam. and maybe start searching around for our spotted friend. Because it is starting to get a little bit cooler now. But we'll just have another look on that side, because there's actually a little bit of an overflow that side. Whoops. And sometimes you get animals tucked in there and you can't quite see from this side. Have a quick look as we go over the wall. Nicer view there actually, under most of the hippos. You might even see them a little bit better here. Yeah, hello, you're going to show us your teeth again. You can see they're really well adapted for life underwater. You see there in the nose, the eyes, the ears are all just on top of the head, so they only have to show the top of the head and the rest of the body can be submerged in that nice cooling water. If you do want to see a hippo out of water, unless they are sunbathing, one of the best times of year to see them is actually in the winter, and they tend to come out fairly early in the afternoon, or they stay out late on into the morning because they can still withstand the heat, and then they tend to return to the water. But they do tend to leave the water at night during the summer months in search of food, and they are grazers, they don't eat meat, although there has been the odd one or two occasions where it's been documented them playing with a carcass, but they're not sure if they are actually feeding on it or just messing around with it. Yeah, I think that's the one that I've been seeing. It just looked a little bit smaller from the other side. Maybe it was that one that I thought was the baby on the left. It's certainly smaller than the other two anyway. Cool. And actually it's very difficult to see that overflow now, but we'll see if we can get a view as we drive past, because this used to be quite a lot more open, and even this has actually grown over. We used to drive straight down there. That was quite open. Oh, Egyptian geese, is it? Right at the back, coming into view. Yep, 2 Egyptian geese. Quite nice and peaceful, so it makes a change for Egyptian geese. They tend to be quite noisy. They always have something to say about something. Although they can be quite useful. We have found leopard because of them a few times. But more often than not, they tend to lead you on a wild goose chase. Oh, it's nice to see there's a lot of water in the dam anyway. Good rains. there. Just see if anything's going on that side. Got some nice muddy areas there. There we go. Oh, and I can hear dwarf mongoose in here. We've got the red-billed hornbill in the tree, magpie shrike, and I did just hear the squeaking of the dwarfies. I wonder if they'll come out for us. Yeah, they're in this little bit here just to our left. Now, this is quite normal to find a hornbill with dwarf mongoose. It's called a mutualistic relationship, and the posh word is a symbiotic relationship. So it just means that there's two parties involved, and they have even documented hornbills going to the place where the dwarf mongoose are living, which is usually an abandoned termite mound, and waiting for the dwarf mongoose to get ready to go out and forage. And it's also been documented the dwarf mongoose waiting for the hornbills to arrive before they go foraging. So there's this beneficial relationship, and the hornbills act as a sentinel while they're foraging. Is there a hornbill actually above them now? I think there is. If I roll back a little bit, there is actually one just sitting in the tree here. And he's sitting right above where I can hear the dwarf mongoose. Oh, there he goes. Yeah. He's just landed on the tree in front. But if we sit patiently, they might actually come out, because the dwarf mongoose here at Djuma are quite inquisitive, and they quite often come up to the vehicle and see what it's all about. So we might be lucky. It does depend on the troop though. Although the correct collective noun for a group of mongoose is a business. I don't know why. A business of mongoose, but there you go. Just looking for any movement. Nope, they've gone quiet. And apparently this group don't want to come and say hello. There's no one popping out behind us, is there? Nope. Oh well, worth a try. That's also one of my favourite things to watch, is the family of dwarf mongoose. Especially this time of day, they're starting to head back towards their termite mound that they're utilising at the time. They'll have maybe... Oh, there we go! One in the road. Did you see it? So it looks like they are still scattered. They maybe have another half an hour. There we go! Yeah! In the road! They are so small. Hence the name, dwarf mongoose. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can maybe just park in the corner and maybe it'll actually jump out again. Because they do like to sit on the roadsides and check you out. And I think he must have just been on the side, and I thought it was a little bit of dung until he moved. I wonder if it's the family that utilised this. There's an abandoned termite mound just a bit further up. It could be that family. But I think he's run back into the bush again. Oh, you might have caught a glimpse anyway. Yeah, we're watching the road. So they're only about this big. And if memory serves me correctly, the smallest carnivore, true carnivore in South Africa. Maybe someone can just check that for me. It must be the next corner that I was thinking about, but there was a nice big termite mound there that was utilised by a dwarf mongoose family. Oh, there's one. That's quite a nice big termite mound, and there's a few holes in there, so that could be utilised. You see all the holes in there. Nice and overgrown. And it's amazing the amount of species that would actually use an abandoned termite mound. Quite often, spotted hyena will excavate an existing hole that may have been used by or built by an aardvark trying to get at the termites. So they might excavate it and use it as a den for their pups. I say those widened holes tend to suggest this one is a dwarf mongoose home. And remember, termites, they're absolutely amazing little creatures, and what we're seeing above the ground, now that is taller than me than what we're seeing at the moment on screen. You probably don't get the full size there, but you're only seeing a tip of the iceberg. So it's probably 1/3 that you're seeing, so the other 2/3 are actually underground. It really is quite an immense structure for such a tiny creature. Oh, this is such a nice temperature now. I think we will start heading down towards Gary Dam and seeing if we have any luck with a kitty cat. But it's nice to come and check out Buffelshoek Dam. It's looking good. And also, as some of you might remember, leopards also love to lie on top of termite mounds, especially in the wintertime, catching the rays of the sun, keeping them warm. And especially if it's a termite mound that's still working, it's going to be nice and warm. They keep it at a constant temperature inside, a constant room temperature inside. And the whole idea about the mounds is to help with airflow and to keep it air conditioned. So you'll see those tiny little holes in the working termite mounds, and they get blocked up over the winter to keep the heat in, and they get opened up in the summer. And some tunnels are actually meant for the air to come in, and it gets taken underground. Those 2/3 underground goes right underground where it's nice and cool, and the soil is fairly moist, and it will cool down the air, and that gets taken into the chambers where they're working. And there'll be other holes in the termite mound for where the air is actually given off, and it's that where the air is actually given off, it's the hot air, and that helps to pull in the air from outside. So it's this convection cone being set up. Oh, grey hornbill sitting in the tree. Very nice. I think he just flew off. Did you manage to get him a little bit?
There he goes.
Yeah, there he goes. Oh, nice. Two of the species of hornbill here in Djuma in South Africa. You might just have caught a glimpse before he flew off. That's the problem with birds. They don't tend to stick around too long. Get camera shy. Another termite mound there. A little bit smaller this time. And again, looks like it's been abandoned. You can see all those little holes are open. But actually, yeah, no, I thought there was a little bit of new working on there, but it doesn't look like it. I think it has been abandoned fairly recently, because those holes are a little bit big. They tend to be a little bit smaller than that, those convection holes I was talking about. As I say, nature is just amazing. Just the fact that such a tiny creature has come up with that, and it's just the airflow just based on the hot air rising and the cool air, or the air being dragged in because of that hot air rising. It's just really incredible. Yep, I've had somebody cross around here. Looks like elephants. Quite a while ago though. There's not too much detail on the spoor. Just try to get done there in case anybody's there. And they went that away. So for those of you who are following us on the map, we're on Buffelshoek line, and you can see it's a nice straight road. And this used to be one of the old fence lines when the properties were all fenced. And I think it was around the 1950s, if memory does serve me correctly. The fences were dropped and the animals were able to move freely between the properties. So that's why it's nice and straight. Right. More elephant activity here. Oh, hi Will, good to hear you guys are on board, and Becky, Joe and Carol. Look, sun! You're not seeing it, are you? From a very snowy UK. And we've got the third species of hornbill this afternoon. Great to hear you're all on board. Everyone who's been helping out at Ingwe. And guess what I spy? On the other side, sitting on a termite mound, we have a dwarf mongoose. Oh, there's a couple coming out to see us. Check one out, actually scent marking on the branch. I don't know if you can see that. You should be able to see that. I know it looks like there's a couple of pups there as well. Yeah, it's very hard to imagine snow at this point. It's probably a nice, what, 32, 33 degrees, something like that around at the moment. Oh, I'm so glad we got to see some dwarf mongoose for you though as well. And the yellow-billed hornbill just across the way from the family again. But it looks like the family is starting to settle down for the night. So now will be the time while it's cooling off, grooming each other and just strengthening those family bonds, and they'll do that before they go out foraging in the morning as well. But look at those pups. Oh, they're tiny. I'm checking out where the adult just scent marked as well. But just like a cat, they have the chin scent gland, you can see, and actually they're starting to copy. There's a little one just doing that then. A very close relative of the meerkat. I suppose the meerkats would be doing the same thing this time of day as well, wouldn't they? A similar sort of setup to the meerkats as well, having an alpha male and female who breed, and then the rest tend to help. Oh, look at this little one going off on his own, look. Oh. It always astounds me for an animal that is so small, they're so inquisitive. As I say, we've actually had some families come right up to the vehicle, right up to the wheel and check us out. It really is amazing how brazen they can be. And this little one demonstrating that. Watching us as much as we're watching it. Brilliant. So I'm not sure how much you guys have been watching, Will, Carol, Becky and Joe, but we're going to try and see if we can head around and try and find the cousins of who we study. Also part of the Ingwe leopard research team. So I'm hoping we'll catch up with the leopard that we saw this morning. But it is amazing to see these small animals, and that's part of it, the whole experience, being in the bush. It's obviously it's wonderful to see the big animals, and it's such a thrill to see them, but to see the small creatures, and obviously we've actually seen quite a lot of the small things this afternoon, and the vegetation as well, because obviously without the vegetation there's nothing for the animals to eat, and everything is actually connected, and it's all just fascinating how it does interconnect. I say I could sit and watch these dwarf mongoose so much. They really are quite a character. As I say, this temperature is really starting to become quite nice, and I really think we might be lucky in trying to catch up with our spotted feline. So I think we're going to leave the family, let them enjoy the last few moments of the sun and the warmth. And we'll carry on heading down. I think we will take Mvubu Road. See if I can sneak past them without disturbing them. Bird calls when you're starting to guide. It's a really good way of actually remembering it, because he's in black. He's going to a funeral, so he says, "I'm so sad. I'm so sad." But say that second call, it took me 2 years to find out who that call belonged to, because I kept hearing it in the Waterberg, and no one could tell me who it was. And finally worked out it was the black cuckoo. I thought I saw somebody up there. We have had that in the past. Cats walking in the middle of the road this time of day. this one. We might lose you, but it's what looks like it's like Gary down. Welcome back everybody, sorry about that. Still working out what signal does drop. But there's a lot of vegetation, it's very very thick at the moment, and that's why we do occasionally lose you on the drop. I couldn't quite see who was up here, it looked like they were looking at something, but apparently not. I think we scared them off. Oh, no, there wasn't. Who's there? Which station on Gary Cutler? He's gone in after something, but I can't get hold of him. Oh, it's elephants. I can see it just up ahead. Apologies for bumping your lock. I'm not sure my comms are working. I'm not hearing anything. So, thank you. They're going into quite a thick bush. Can't see any more, I can hear some. I'm just going a little bit, just so we can get a view, but I do want to head round to quarantine and see if there is any more sign of that leopard. Any more? I did see the elephant's head. Oh, there's one. Amazing how well they can hide such a big animal. Now I'm not sure how many vehicles are here, so I'm just going to keep my distance. I think there is only the one. But that little one looked a little bit grumpy. I don't know if you saw he had ears out when the vehicle was going through. I don't think they saw him. Now if you remember the young bull that we saw a bit earlier, there is another elephant there actually. Oh no, vehicle. Yes, I'm a great guide. Can see an elephant in the vehicle, but yeah. But he's probably a bit older than this one, but it looks like this one's left behind, and that tends to happen with elephants. So they have the elephant herd, the females with the calves, and then the young bulls start being further and further behind, and then eventually, as I say, they break away and they start moving off by themselves, might come back, join the herd for a bit, and then wander off again, and eventually just break away completely. Now you can see he's actually displaying, knocking over a few branches and trumpeting a little bit and flapping his ears, so he's just saying, look, I'm very sure of you. And there's a demonstration also of his strength. He's probably about a 14-15-year-old. Good afternoon, all stations. I'm online. Apologies for bumping the glove lock on Gary Cutline, sorry. Okay, I think we're actually gonna leave him just to settle down. You can hear the herd is much further in. I say we did have a nice elephant sighting right at the beginning of drive. So we're gonna leave these guys and say I'm not sure, there might be a few vehicles in there. Hello! You want to come through? Yeah, sorry, apologies, I had a few technical issues, but I think I'm back online. Hi, I'm Tara.
Nice to meet you.
Me too. Yeah, we're going to head down to quarantine and see if we can't find that male from the morning. I don't know if anyone's...
This is him that was working up through here.
Oh, is he been...
Sean picked him up on the cut, moved him.
Oh, okay.
Walked straight into the herd of Ellies.
Oh.
They chased him off.
Oh, okay.
Didn't manage to see where he headed to, so...
Oh, okay.
I was going to move back up Gary Cutline to Arathusa and see...
Okay, well, you've just come from there, I didn't see anything, so I might just take on Vubu then and just go that way.
Perfect.
Oh.
I can hear you though.
Yeah, it's really odd, dropped because I
wondering-
did hear you calling, and as soon as I was telling you what I was doing, it just dropped completely. So sorry about
Which
that.
vehicle was Mark's or? Yeah, Mark's one.
Yeah, this is Wendy. I'm just taking over for 2 weeks. So,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, cool. Well,
Is it yourself out at the moment?
yeah, just myself for 2 weeks. Yeah.
Right.
All right, cool. Well, nice to meet you,
Yeah,
and
you too.
yeah, we'll see if we can catch up with him. Perfect. How long ago was he seen then?
Literally,
About 10 minutes ago.
even 3-4
Oh,
minutes ago.
oh, wow, we just missed him again.
No,
Yeah, this morning as well.
And then I hear on the radio the big pink onion on Cheetah Plain driveway.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
All right.
Right, so we're heading up that way
I'm
then.
going to head up this way.
Perfect, okay. Right, well, sorry, we thought to fix the game drive radio. Apparently it dropped out, and The leopard was just about 4 minutes ago, and apparently went straight into this elephant herd, but they're not sure where he went from there. So hopefully my radio is going to keep working now. So Craig from Cheap Plains, who I've just met, he's going to go up where we've just come down, see if he's going to pop out there. We'll go along Boo Boo, which is the other road that adjoins this block, and just see if we can't. Lucky. I can't believe we missed him just by 3 minutes. So maybe that was why the elephants were trumpeting a little bit as well. Well, hopefully with maybe 3 vehicles on the lookout for him, we might have a look. Especially it's such a big block here. We might have had a fright from those elephants and they might have parked somewhere. He hasn't moved very far. He comes through the drainage line. I think that's where I went this morning after we left him. So it was really just a stone's throw, kind of over this drainage line here, and that's where I left him. Looks like I had quite a nice sunset this afternoon. Let's get a quick shot of that. Beautiful rays there as well. Oh, stunning. See if we can't hear any more trumpeting from the elephants. No, no. Okay, so it does sound like there was a second vehicle in there. It's just come out. We couldn't find anything. Sean Quintana. Good afternoon. Just to let you know, I'm just going to head in Vubu and just see if I can figure out anything this side. At the dam. We might actually get a nice view on this side actually. So just trying to work out, being as I say, it's quite a large block. So it really depends on what happened when he ran into those elephants and what way he went. But anywhere along here is possible it might pop out. Depends on obviously where he was wanting to go. Wow, this has really become quite overgrown. There used to be a little bit more open here. I'm just going to try a little bit further on. I'm just keeping a check on our right just to make sure. I don't have anybody join us. Wow, they're literally just sitting just behind trees here. Oh dear. Well, it's worth a try. Thought we might be able to get a nice view of them here. I'm just giving the boy just a bit of time to try and make his way, if he's going to keep making his way out the block, just to make... He may be making his way this side, but say it's such a big block. So maybe if he pulls down and he does come out this side, maybe we'll be lucky enough to catch him on the road. Can you see the buffalo through there at all, or not really?
Slightly, yeah.
Slightly. Let me just see. As I say, this used to be quite nice and open. It was just a few more than what we saw earlier on. Let me just see if we can't get a look through. There's a little dry, open patch there. Yeah, there's quite a few dug aboard here. Ah, there we go. Nice. Actually, I seem to remember we used to have crocodile in here at some stage as well. It's just suddenly come to me now. Hi, Harley and Mason in Canada. Very warm welcome to you on board Wendy this afternoon here at Djuma, the Sabi Sands. And I wonder what the weather's like in Canada at the moment. I wonder if it's cold as the UK. But you'd like to know how long an elephant could live for. And its natural lifespan, obviously, if there's no disease or anything like that that affects it, it can potentially live up to 60, 70 years. So roughly about the same as a human. And what's amazing is the whole family and life cycle is it can be very similar to human. If you think about the males, they'll tend to move out when they're about 16, 17 years old, which is If you think about it, the same for a human. That's usually when we're thought to have been an adult, somewhere between 16 and 18. And they're very big family. The females tend to stay together, and as the females grow up, they'll break away and maybe have their own family, but then quite often they'll come together again and they'll form huge herds at certain times of the year. So they still keep in touch, aunties and sisters and daughters. So it's amazing, really, how much information has really come out of elephant behaviour in the last decade or so. And even through the protection, what's been really amazing is they can tell the difference between lion calls, the males and the females they found in Botswana, because in Botswana they actually hunt the elephants, even adult elephants, and they found that the female lions were hunting baby elephants more than the males, and if they played the tapes of the male and female, they'd have a very different reaction with the females protecting the calves. And if a female lion call was played, they'd actually surround calves, make like a circle, surround the calves and check that it was all clear, and then actually move away. Whereas the males, they listened, but they weren't too concerned. But yeah, quite amazing what research has been done on elephant behaviour fairly recently. And actually, I wonder if anybody remembers the crocodile. I do remember the crocodile being in here, and we actually had some buffalo, and I think the crocodile actually went up, and I'm not sure if he tried to bite the buffalo on the rump, or something happened, but that buffalo moved out of the way pretty quickly and then looked around as if to say, what on earth was that? I wonder if anybody remembers that. I think it was on the Gary cam. Oh, there's actually an oxpecker on the buffalo there as well. And that's another mutualistic relationship. So the oxpeckers tend to find the ticks, and you can see that the buffalo doesn't like it too much, and I think their claws, because they clamber all over the animals and sit on the nose and peck inside the nose, because it's actually the mucus and the earwax. They'll go for earwax and blood. So that's why they go for the ticks as well. But they can be a bit of a hindrance times if they've got an open wound, and they'll actually eat the blood from the open wound. But obviously the benefit to buffalo or any animal that they take the ticks from is they're removing the parasites. And with them being in water, quite often the terrapins will do the same thing underwater, so you don't see it as often. But so for hippos as well, they'll remove ticks from the body when it's immersed in the water. And we've seen quite often the terrapins out on the banks sunbathing and on the logs. So we're doing a lot of terrapins in dam. I'm sure they're still here. But I think, hopefully, it's been long enough for the leopard to pop out here if he is going to pop out this side. I haven't heard anything else from the other vehicles. We've been checking Gary cut line where we just came down, where we lost the signal. So we're going to take a drive up in Vubu and see if we are lucky. But I do wonder, I think he must have only moved in the last 20 minutes or so. Okay. Thanks, guys. It really doesn't look too impressed with that buffalo. The oxpecker's on his top of his head. He's looking very unimpressed. If you do have any other questions, then send them through to questions@WildEarthTV. And for those of you who might just be joining us, you're actually joining a live safari here in South Africa, Djuma Game Reserve, the world famous Three Sands. And it is in real time wherever you are in the world. We kind of did by the weather and the temperatures here. That's why we go out early morning and late afternoon looking at animals. As you heard, the leopard was out in about, I'd say probably about half an hour ago or so. And I lost a bit of road, didn't I? Go behind this bush. Get back on the little 2-track that came in on. So that's why for you, a little bit of bone there, for you it might be a little bit awkward at times. I say this is the best time of day to view some of these African animals. So if you do have any questions, send them through. And you can also send them through on Twitter as well. So hashtag Safari Live. I'm really hoping we can catch up. -20 in Canada. Oh, -28. Oh no. That's a cold for me. Wow. Yeah, Canada. Even the summertime, I think, is too cold for me. Because it would actually be your winter time, wouldn't it? I forget I'm in South Africa. I was actually in the UK about a month ago, so I'm still in those time zones. And this little bird we've seen a couple of times this morning. And if you get out there too long, buddy, you might actually be food. Natal burfowl, those beautiful bright orange legs and beak. And I really won't sit out there too long. It tells me you'll be quite happy to sit there quite a little bit longer. So if you wouldn't mind, buddy. Okay, you're definitely not the brightest bird, are you? Now this is another favourite spot for Karula's cubs in the past, and I think it all depends on when Karula has taken the cubs as well. I think it will depend on the areas that the cubs like. So if she's been in this area quite a bit with them, chances are they'll know this area very well. You're definitely not wanting to leave, are you? You see where it's gone? Has he gone off the road?
I think he's gone off the road.
Good. So yeah, the vehicle that did try and follow him couldn't find where the leopard had gone in this bush. And so if the leopard wants to go, the leopard's going to go frightened. So I think we went over. It was actually a little bit more reserved. He would actually check things out and weigh things up. It's interesting to hear what these two are like. The quarantine male. Djuma. Djuma? I'm sure everyone at home screaming, it's said this way. It does take me a while to pick up names. good. I think he was giving him a dust bath. So you're hearing branches breaking this side. Nope. Thought I was. Ah, that willow's got big. That was also a little pool. A little pool. It's amazing how just a puddle, a muddy puddle, can turn into a waterhole. Water might start utilising it first, and then maybe buffalo, and then maybe rhino, and maybe even the elephants eventually, and that's obviously what's happened there. A lot of elephant tracks in there. They just keep expanding it and expanding it. You're having your afternoon jog, just not wanting to get off the road. There we go, flexible. A little bit too far up this time. So you never know. And for you wanting to see a honey badger, this is perfect time of day to start potentially seeing them. There's that dusky period onwards. And interestingly, it's another animal we don't really know much about. And they tend to be solitary, but on the area that I'm doing research, quite often we find two animals together, and it's been happening for the last 2 or 3 years, so I don't think it's a female with a pup. It's around the same size. It might well be one of her pups, but they seem to have stayed together, which is quite unusual apparently. So they tend to be solitary. We're talking about mutualistic relationships, and the honey badger has one with honey guides, and the honey guides will tend to give a different call from normal mating call, and it's almost like a match is rattling. It sounds a little bit
like the oxpeckers. They also sound like a box of matches rattling, and that's a signal that they've got a hive. They know where their hive is, and they'll get a honey badger to follow them. They'll actually move branch to branch, and the honey badger will follow them and break open the hive. And it's actually the grubs. There's a bit of a misconception they're going for the honey. There's actually the grubs inside that they eat, and obviously the honey guide gets to eat the grubs as well and the honey. But there's also the same relationship in certain places in Africa where humans have developed that relationship with the honey guide, and they'll actually sit there and wait for the human to follow, give that call. And I remember a honey guide doing that to us once. He actually tried to get us to follow it. We did follow it, but we never found life. It kind of lost interest, we couldn't keep up. It's quite amazing. So we're coming to the top of Mvu Road now, and I think the other vehicles have moved out the area. I think there's been another leopard seen up at Chi Plains, which is quite far from here. I did miss the name. It could have been in Kenyani. I think that might have been the name of the leopard seen, but I could be lying. Full moon by the looks of it. But John and Bonnie wanted to know if the dams on the property are natural or human-made. And I'm just trying to remember, I think a lot of them have been human-made, but maybe some of the older videos can maybe just help me out, but I'm pretty sure they have been. Some of the smaller pans would have been naturally made, say from a puddle, and it just grows and grows and grows, and it's been quite interesting going past some of the smaller pans that have definitely expanded over the last 3 years, and especially that one on Mvubu Road we just went past. If we go back down, I'll see if I can stop and show you again. But just going on the full moon, it can have an impact on animal behaviour. So obviously it's a lot brighter at night. So the carnivores are a little bit at a disadvantage because the animals, the herbivores, can see a lot better, and they'll go into the open areas so they can see any movement approaching them. So their hunting success tends to drop, especially for the nocturnal species, tends to drop over a full moon. But quite interestingly, the diurnal species like the dogs and the cheetah, they sometimes will hunt during a full moon. They don't tend to hunt at night, but when it is a full moon, because there is a lot more light, they tend to rely a lot on their sight, and sometimes it has been documented them going after and hunting animals during the full moon nights. That's what you're listening out for. Now there is a theory that leopards tend to call more on a full moon because, again, they're going to be seen. So they might as well demonstrate their territory by calling. That's something I'd certainly like to see if there's a relationship with, because we have had a number of times leopards have been heard calling at night. So we'll be able to see if that was the case, if it was full moon or not. Beautiful. Nice call. Oh, look at the sky this side as well. Let's pull forward a little bit. Oh, beautiful. Wow. Look at that.
Oh, it's so nice to hear the African bush sounds. And we were starting to hear the fiery neck nightjar as well. You might be hearing that very soon on the waterhole camera if that's up and running again. Hopefully it will be. Maybe even the hyenas might start calling. So, woo! Woo! They're very vocal, the hyenas, actually. They're spotted. Their cousins, the brown hyenas, aren't as vocal. I don't really want to lose you guys with a signal again. So I think maybe we'll just we'll go back down on Vubu Road and just see if he pops out there, and maybe we'll go along Central again and just do that first pass of Gary Cut Line, so we don't lose you. I was just thinking one of the last times we were here, we actually had mating lions. Literally just where the vehicle is now. Oh, amazing. It really is actually incredible what we have seen over the years on Wild Earth. And the fact you guys can actually join us and share that with us, I think is just phenomenal. And it still blows my mind. Let's say I drove Wild Earth for 2 years and back for the 2 weeks while Mark is off, and it still blows my mind that we can do this. It's just amazing. You can join us wherever you are at home and enjoy the wonders the African bush has to offer. Lucky, you never know, you might see a bush baby. They're very small primates, probably about this sort of size for the lesser. The thick-tailed, I don't think we get here. That tends to be about this sort of size in body size. Their other name is Galago or Galago. You'll hear that name. We do have a road named after them. I don't think we've seen an aardvark on drive. I can't quite remember. But there's plenty of termite mounds around. I'm just trying to remember. I think I might have seen the track of one once. And I do remember getting very excited, but that might have been at the Waterberg. Brown hyena I know Peter found at the quarry once. It always sticks in the head for some reason, but we've never seen it since. And they do have quite a strong paste, which I do look out for, and for some reason I've got a wonderful sense of smell when it comes to that, and I don't have a great sense of smell most of the time. But that one, I seem to get it maybe about 5 or 7 meters away, and I've never smelled a brown hyena pasting all the time that I have been driving around here, unfortunately. The leopard is actually quite a nice smell when it comes to scent marking. That smells of popcorn. Which we also try and keep our nose peeled for, which means that there is a leopard close by. Wow, there's quite a large storm cloud building there. What's very, very typical of the storm clouds is this vertical column, and then the anchor head, which is actually trailing behind. That is very, very characteristic of the storm cloud. It's being caught by the sun's rays there. Well, it's very welcome to rain tonight. It can rain all it wants tonight. As long as it's not raining tomorrow morning. And thanks Pete for that, and thank you very much everybody who's welcoming me back and didn't get a chance to go and drive with me this morning. It is wonderful to be back, and I'm so glad I can spend a couple of weeks with everybody again on Wild Earth. And it is just, oh, it is amazing to be back. And it's been 3 years, but it feels like it's only yesterday. It's crazy. Absolutely wonderful. I say, I'm really hoping we get a chance to spend a little bit of time with the leopards here. But we did catch a glimpse. We spent, as I say, about an hour searching, maybe about an hour and a half, and Andrew and Mark managed to get a really nice sighting this morning. And what was he trying to catch, Shabamba?
A snake or a squirrel.
You're going to have to help me with his name again. Shabamba? No. Ganyama. It's because I've got Shabinzi and Shabambalana in my head. But yeah, Ganyama. So you say he was like, it's Ganyuma. I'm going to have to write on my hand and say it like 20 times tonight, I think. So you say he was trying to catch a snake or a squirrel or something. And apparently Mark was saying the tree was like this thick. Oh, brilliant. I remember one of the best things was watching Karula going after the guinea fowl. The guinea fowl always used to roost on the other side of the dam, just behind the camera. And she actually perfected the technique of scaring the guinea fowl, and they would have one fairly good takeoff and land, and then they, you know, they have to get a little bit of energy before they can take off again. And she knew this, and she'd chase them out the tree, and they would hit the ground, and she would chase them on the ground and catch them. And she became very, very efficient at that. And the boys, I think, were trying to perfect that as well. I seem to remember in Djuma and Nishu. See if we can get to the end of this road at least, and just see if we can't find this little boy. It'd be lovely to catch up again for you all. But there is always tomorrow, which is great to say. And I will certainly be filling everybody in on what I've been up to in the last 3 years. I can't believe it's been 3 years. I know I keep saying it, but wow. But just to show you that little pan, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it very nicely. Oh, hold on, I've got switches here. Hold on. Ah. Does that work? Is that light enough? So that was literally probably about a quarter of the size of what it is now 3 years ago. So just to show you how these natural pans and pools can be formed. And I say all it takes is just a slight dip, and the water collects, and then during the summer the warthogs go, okay, cool, that's a nice little hole we can maybe wallow in for a little bit, and then it gets a little bit bigger as they start excavating the mud and rolling around in the mud, caping their body, so it actually protects them. It's almost like the natural sunblock. Then it gets a little bit bigger, and the buffalo come in and they start doing the same thing, and then the rhinos, and then the elephants as well, especially elephant babies, throwing the mud over the backs, and eventually they get extremely big, and obviously the adults can partake in that as well. Amazing natural process. And the evening chorus from the spurfowl. Well, I'm sorry I couldn't catch up with him, but as I said before, tomorrow is another day, and I'm really hoping we will get to see the rest of Karula's family as well, and hopefully the lady herself. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. But whatever we see in the bush, it's always a thrill, and I'm so glad you were here to join me, and I hope you'll join me tomorrow morning. If not, tomorrow afternoon. Thank you very much, and good night for now. Bye for now.